What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake MLB DFS Wise stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013, and I have a question from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed above or directly at WiseTake.com. If you're looking to take your DFS game to the next level, we are a premium DFS content provider, as well as a DFS community design to help make you a better DFS player. Go check us out at WiseTake.com. If you're new to this channel, welcome. You come to the right place for some free fire DFS content. So make sure you subscribe. Hit the notifications bell so you're notified when we do go live and you don't miss any of the good shit. And like the video. Leave some comments. Share the video. Like to hear the feedback. Tell me your thoughts on the slate. Right? It's community aspect, community feel. We want to hear from you. That's right. You. We've got a pretty big slate following up a pretty chalky slate, right? Well, it's funny how chalk works, right? So some of the chalkier offenses went off. The White Sox were certainly one of them. I had them as a top stack in my article highlighted, but I didn't expect the ownership to be that high. I guess I should have seen it coming, but I thought more people would be on some of the other stacks. So unfortunately, they were very popular. The good thing is I did get plenty. And, that went well. What didn't go well is the chalky pitching, right? So it's funny how chalk works, right? So you get the offense right, but if you went too heavy on Garrett Cole and Kikuchi, it didn't work out. Shout out to the Slack chat. They were being real creative, trying to find ways to find some lower-owned pivots. Now, I don't think anybody really expected Cole to get beat up the way he did by the Rangers, but I know that I did see a lot of people were talking to guys up like Max Fried, for instance, especially once the Mets lineup came out. He ended up being a lot lower owned than I thought. And so just in general, man, a lot of good takeaways, right? A lot of good takeaways. And we move on to this massive mammoth of a slate. 14 games. 14 games. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to jump in with our top pitchers, right? Top pitchers. Brandon Woodruff is number one. And his numbers stand out, obviously. Lowest Sierra, lowest XFIP. And I think technically the second highest K rate, but it all goes hand in hand. He's playing the Kansas City team. That's been scrappy, but ultimately has a 94 WRC plus. 23.4% strikeout rate's not massive. 153 ISO, but we are in Kansas City. A much more pitcher-friendly park than Miller Park in Milwaukee. He would be your SP1 for cash games at the moment. Zach Wheeler, you can make a strong case for. On the flip side, he is at home in Philly. It's not the greatest pitching park, but he is at home, and he's playing in Miami. Taking a look at Miami, they've been one of the worst teams in the league against right-handed pitching. 84 WRC plus, 287 WOBA, 128 ISO, 26.3% strikeout rate. So the matchup, certainly softer, it would appear, for Mr. Wheeler, whose numbers also look really good, mind you, right? So these are your top two pitchers. Take your pick. Lance Lynn has the numbers to compete with these guys, and I don't mean any disrespect towards Mr. Lance Lynn, but the Twins have a little bit of power. The Twins, 104 WRC plus against righties, a 175 ISO, only a 22.7% K rate. So the matchup just isn't quite as good. And Wheeler's got the best matchup by far. If you're playing just matchup, it's Wheeler. If you're playing talent, to me, it's Woodruff, and that kind of leaves Lynn lurking. But maybe his ownership comes in a little bit lower, right? Some compromise. Julio Urias, maybe I'm disrespecting a little bit. Obviously, he's got upside. He's at home in LA. Playing the D-backs, right? But the D-backs have one of the higher WRC pluses against lefties, a 210 ISO, which I believe is the highest ISO currently against lefties, 346 WOBA, and only a 21.9% strikeout rate. He'll have, I think, the lowest ownership of these four guys, right? And that's really the only case I can make over playing over the other ones, especially without the Dodgers or with the short leash on their pitchers. But Wheeler, definitely of the ace, is the best matchup on paper, at least. Coming to tear down, I don't mean in talent, I mean in price, is Blake Snell. $8K on FanDuel. I think Snell is going to be crazy popular on FanDuel. 8-9 on DraftKings. We'll get some love there too, but 8K on FanDuel just seems like disrespectfully low. And he hasn't been as good. XFIP looks good. K rate looks good, but Sierra's up. A little concerning. But he is playing a Colorado Rockies team that is away from Coors. Now, it's worth noting, they've been decent against lefties from an offensive perspective. 344 WOB is one of the higher ones. 165 ISO, kind of middle of the road. But they also have been striking out. 24.4% is decent. So I think Snell is in a good spot. I think currently the Rockies are implied via line makers are like 2.9 runs or some shit. So, yeah. Take that as you will. But Blake Snell is certainly probably going to be a popular SB2 option on DraftKings, and he will be a popular tournament option on FanDuel. I'm going to skip down to Michael Pineda. I think he kind of is interesting here against the White Sox. Now, we know the White Sox are one of the best teams in the league against left-handed pitching. They've been good against righties from in terms of WRC+, but a 320 WOBA, a 134 ISO, and a 24% K rate. If we compare it to their numbers against lefties, they've been significantly better against lefties. So I think it could be interesting to attack the team that just went nuts. Could be crazy, could be dumb. But it could be interesting to attack the team that just went nuts. And honestly, we're looking for cheaper pitchers at this point, and I think he's an interesting GPP play. And there's a couple of them that we're going to get into. JB Brubaker. Not a name that I thought I'd be saying very much. But Mr. Brubaker, first of all, I'm all over the place, is cheap. 7.6 on DraftKings, 7.4. And look at his numbers, man. They speak for themselves. 334 XFIP and a 334 Sierra. I mean, solid. 25.5% K rate. If we look at how St. Louis has been against righties, one of the worst offenses in the league against righties, and a 24% strikeout rate for a mostly right-handed team. It's kind of interesting, right? So I think he's on the list. A player that I don't know how I feel, and maybe it's a biased thing. You all know how I feel about this pitcher, but Justin Dunn is playing Detroit. Detroit has not been good. 27.4% K rate, 298 WOBA, 90 WRC plus. Right? Justin Dunn has a 6.36 XFIP. His XFIP is almost double his ERA. 205 batting average balls in play, 54% fly ball rate, and a 34% hard contact rate. Does draw a good park at home. Draws the best matchup you could probably get for right-handed pitcher. One of. And so I think he might be a trendy, cheap pick. He throws a lot of slide. His slide is nasty. But I guess I should have put Justin Dunn on the what to watch. I just felt like he was going to get some ownership. So I wanted to leave some room. Right? That's basically it. I did skip over Andrew Heaney. That was a mistake. A 7.8, 7.6 cheap price. Look at his numbers. He's got a second lowest XFIP and Sierra on the slate and the highest strikeout rate. It looks pretty good. He's playing Cleveland, who has the third lowest WRC plus against lefties, a 280 WOBA, a 155 ISO, but one of the lowest strikeout rates at 20.6%. It's not striking out a ton. But Heaney's numbers look solid. They look really good. I mean, I'm at least interested. Last but not least, let's talk about Chris Bubic. He's at home in a good pitcher's park, playing a Milwaukee team that has the second lowest WRC plus against righties, 77. 284 WOBA, 141 ISO, 26.3% K rate. But his numbers are scary too. Now, he does have the 60% ground ball rate going for him, but when you play Milwaukee, you're looking for strikeouts. Then again, he's only 4K. How long does he go? So many questions. But he had shown some upside last season. We've seen him in spurts. I think it was last season. Anyway. So 4K. If you want to just punt city, punt city. Check. All right, top offenses. Let's get into it. So, I mean, Matt Harvey against the Rays. Rays get a park boost playing in Baltimore. You could argue to put this in the things to watch, right? Because the Rays strike out like a motherfucker. If Harvey's going to have a career game, it's going to be against the Rays because they're going to strike out a ton. Or he's going to get lit up, and I lean towards him getting lit up. I do. Rays only 158 ISO, 313 WOBA, 105 WRC plus. I understand. This game's in Baltimore, one of the smaller parks in the game. So yeah, the Rays offense is looking pretty juicy. The Nats against Zach Davies. I have one here. Nats against Zach Davies. Davies has a 5.72 xFIP, 5.83 Sierra. He sucks. We have winds blowing right now, like I think towards third base. Keep an eye out to see if that drifts towards like any kind of out. And that would be some cherry action on top. But the Nationals, I think, are definitely in play against Zach Davies. Where is Washington on this shit? Not a great WRC plus. I mean, Washington doesn't have great numbers, but they put the ball in play. And I think Zach Davies sucks. Yankees against Fulte. Yankees against Fulte. Where you at? Where you at, Fulte? There you go. 4.55 xFIP. Yankees kind of busted Horde against Jordan Lyles. They're getting banged up. Giancarlo Stanton was red hot. Then he got hurt. Now Judge is hot. Fulte has almost a 40% hard contact rate this season. That goes for something. Shout out to Solid Picks in the YouTube chat. I see you. Good to see you. By the way, guys, I really enjoy the comments, man. I love reading the comments. I don't get a chance to answer them all the time between, dad duty during the day and, grinding out the content at night. But shout out to you guys, man. I love reading them comments. Solid Pick said he faded Cole, which was a smooth move, but he stacked the Yankees, which was a disaster. We move on. Another top offense. Dodgers against Merrill Kelly. 39% hard contact rate, 4.64 xFIP. 17% K rate. This guy sucks. You typically want lefties against him, and the Dodgers have some pretty good ones, man. Max Muncy, right? Seager. They are missing Bellinger, I think, right? Pretty sure. But yeah, Dodgers against Merrill Kelly, that stands out. Listen, there's a ton, right? I'm just talking about the obvious ones, and then we'll get into the things to watch. And we have some interesting ones there, too. Yes, we do. But the Dodgers against Merrill Kelly certainly stands out. Things to watch. We've got Hyunjin Ryu and Erod. Both pretty decent pitchers at decent prices. However, two potent offenses in a very hitter-friendly park, right, down in Florida. Dunedin, Florida. Small park, heat, humidity, all that shit. William Jackson says those White Sox, though. I know. Those White Sox, though. Did it again against J.A. Happman. Yeah, White Sox did the dirty. But that's anyway, it's, Erod versus Ryu. Two good pitchers, two good offenses. Something's going to win here. Something's going to win out, right? You would think. Patrick Corbin against the Cubs. And the reason I have him on here is his numbers show that he's due for some progression, but not significantly. His numbers still aren't very good. He's playing a Cubs offense that has a 27% K rate, but a 177 ISO and a 101 WRC plus. It's above the average marker as far as runs created. So the Cubs are hit or miss against lefties, as we saw. I'm pretty sure they beat up Lester a little bit, right? Which one wins out here? Part of me leans towards Corbin, man. Part of me leans towards Corbin, who is 6'1" on DraftKings. He's 8'5" on FanDuel, 6'1" on DraftKings. He's just underpriced. And if he's chalk, no fucking way, right? But if he's low owned, getting disrespected, maybe we hop aboard. Jameson Taillon against Texas. Garrett Cole, Garrett Cole got beat up by these boys today, these Rangers here, right? Rangers, where you at here? So Not terrible numbers against righties. Not great, though. Nothing astounding. 27% K rate, but sometimes you just get your ass beat. That's what happened to Garrett Cole. However, if we look at Tyon, he's got a 30% K rate himself and a very respectable xFIP and Sierra. 48% flat ball rate. I think the roof's going to be closed because there's rain in the forecast. And again, we saw the strikeout rate of the Rangers. Tyon could be another sneaky one. People just don't play him because of what they did to Cole. Tyon could be a sneaky one. Just saying. He could also be dog shit. Just saying. Something to watch. Solid picks. Is Corbin underpriced or is he washed and they know it? You know, the DK algorithm knows all. That's what we say. Right? But again, for me, it's opportunity based off ownership. If he's going to be chalked, then it's just not worth it. Because I do lean towards he's washed. His numbers show that he's kind of washed, right? But if people are afraid to play him because everybody thinks he's washed, we did see that the Cubs do strike out quite a bit against lefties. And of course, the wind all plays into effect. So that is the question, Solid Picks, and I love that question. Is Corbin underpriced or is he washed and they know it? Leave it in the comments. That's what it is. Leave it in the comments. Is Corbin underpriced or is he washed and DraftKings knows it and he should be priced at 6-1 against the Cubs? Dong watching and we're out of here. Austin Meadows, number 1. I'm taking the lefty off Harvey. Austin Meadows in Baltimore. Let's go. I'm taking 2 Nationals next, and I don't want you to think it's not because the Nationals are necessarily my favorite stack. I'm going to get into that right after this show. This is a first look show, so I'll get into that for my article. But Trey Turner stood out against Zach Davies, and then Juan Soto, because Juan Soto's a fucking beast. Right? So Austin Meadows, Trey Turner, Juan Soto, that's the Dong Watch for today. That's going to do it for me, Nation. Please hit the like button on your way out. Leave some comments. Share the show. Subscribe. Notifications bell turned on. All that good shit. As usual. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me live. I appreciate those of you taking the time to watch us after the fact. For myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.